Uganda will host an extraordinary summit of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government to deliberate on the post-Malabo Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Programme agenda. This summit will focus on the draft 10-year Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Programme Strategy and Action Plan, as well as the development of the Kampala Declaration on advancing Africa's inclusive agri-food systems. This follows the 37th ordinary session of the African Union Assembly in February 2024, where heads of state and government expressed concern that the continent did not meet the Malabo Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Programme goals and targets set for 2025, which included eradicating hunger and reducing malnutrition. As a signatory to the Maputo Declaration, Uganda's members of parliament have differing views on the 10% target for agriculture sector allocation.
So I think the government's approach towards that 10% is that you should not necessarily look at the allocation, but look at what areas they have done to be able to support the agriculture sector. If they put money into processing facilities within the agricultural areas.
72 trillion in this financial year. 15% of 72 trillion is certainly more than 10 trillion shillings. But when you look at what we have allocated to the agricultural sector, it is not. Now, there have been some explanations by the government that the agricultural sector does not stand on its own. There are some enablers. For example, if you put money in water for production, that is also a direct contribution to agriculture.
At the moment, if I'm to base myself on the current budget that we are running, agriculture takes about 3.5% only. That means that we are still way below the Maputo Declaration.
In that case, we've not even reached 4% as a country. Every financial year, we keep on reducing. So I think we still have a big challenge when it comes to realizing the Maputo Declaration, which all African countries agreed to.
2024, 2025. I don't remember the specific figures, but we allocated, I think, about 1.3, 1.4 trillion to the agriculture sector, all of it, which was about 1.something%, not even 2%. There was a time when we were doing 3%, we have now reduced.
The Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Programme aims for 6% annual growth rate in the agriculture sector.
Africa, most of the African countries project to grow at about 4 to about 7%, if you see the projections from the World Bank. That means that the total contribution of growth is picked directly from agriculture. But not all countries are involved in agriculture. Even here in Uganda, agriculture is, although it supports majority of the population, but it's declining in terms of its contribution to the GDP.
Eventually, the money that goes to a farmer in terms of research, in terms of agriculture inputs, is very little. So we will stay there until maybe some so-called investors have come here and they are the ones who are removing people from subsistence farming, maybe to industry.
The program also focuses on increasing food security and nutrition while reducing rural poverty among member states.
You cannot rely on a hand-hold to ensure that people have enough food.
The country, we are still safe, food secure, but there are still vulnerable communities within the country in certain areas which have challenges in terms of the fertility of the soil.
Food security, this money would have helped people to reduce on the hunger and famine. But now we are still depending on the nature. If the rains come, then well and good.
Look at the statistics from the health sector. There is still a lot of malnutrition. You look at the statistics from Karamoja, there are a lot of people who are suffering, they lack food. So you can say that this country is not adequately food secure.
The budget framework paper, if you read the report of the population census, we are a country that is still food insecure. High percentage of the population but there are no corresponding figures in the budget to begin addressing that.
Members of Parliament have highlighted challenges affecting food security, including climate change, reliance on hose, and a lack of investment in water for production and fertilizers. Some MPs have applauded the government's investment in the Parish Development Model and its funding of other areas that support agriculture.
The ministry says that if they have done connectivity roads to link the agriculture production to the market, that budget is essentially part of agriculture.
Improve on food security. Let's avail this startup money, capital, the MIOGA, the PDM, but also let's invest in water for production.
The extraordinary session of the Assembly will specifically endorse the draft Kampala Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program Declaration, which outlines a vision for transforming Africa's agri-food systems for 2026 to 2035. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji in Kampala.